Today's episode of Impactually is brought to you by the generous financial support of April Collins Potterfield, David Johnson and Christine O'Neill, Julie Ambrose, JLB Images, and listeners like you. Thank you. This story came to us by way of our friend James Nash, who has worked with Team Hum in a variety of capacities, including narrator for our episode called Credo. If you haven't already listened to that show, it's about the impactful work of Be the Match. James moved to Brooklyn a little over a year ago and couldn't help but notice gardens on rooftops everywhere. He asked if we thought there might be a show in it, and he was right. Imagine with me that we're standing on a rooftop in the heart of New York City. Notice that our attention is captivated not by how high off the ground we are, but by our immediate surroundings. From our vantage point, this city rooftop is alive with architecture and ecology, and our nature senses buzz, quieting the urban cacophony below. Together, we choose to stay with it, if only for a moment, a scene straight out of a city dweller's dreams, a lush oasis in the midst of concrete and steel. As we look around, what might we see? It could be rows of low-lying sedum, a sea of spongy, leafy succulents, stretching out as far as the eye can see, soaking up rainwater and the sun's rays, while also insulating the building below. Or gardens built as social spaces with vibrant greenery aiding people's mental and physical health, providing a communal focus and a sense of place. In this dynamic scene, plants of varying heights and characteristics create a tapestry of texture, captivating the eye with their intricate beauty. Tree canopies arch gracefully overhead as busy pedestrians and traffic move below. Flat roofs, once devoid of life, now teem with birds nesting and nurturing their young in crafted habitats. The familiar buzz of bees, tiny yet mighty, fills the air with vitality and abundance, a testament to the health of their surroundings. And amidst it all, greenhouses, reminiscent of grand estates in the English countryside, adorn the jagged skyline like celestial orbs, illuminating the night with their soft glow. Can you see it? But it's not just about aesthetics. You can't help but wonder, could green roofs be the key to a more environmentally sustainable, health equitable, and resilient future for our cities? In terms of our ingenuity, can we successfully and quite literally bring a city back to life? And who else can we recruit and train to lead and shape thriving green cities and economies, with the goal of defining the future of urban landscapes? For two women, it's a journey of discovery, of wonder, and of hope. For this movement is not just about changing the New York City skyline. It's about transforming the very fabric of their communities and sparking a bigger, greener conversation for cities everywhere. It's called Rooftop Revolution, and our story starts here. From the studios of Hum Productions, I'm Brooke Bechtold, and this is Impactually. NYC, the Big Apple, Gotham. New York has a plethora of famous nicknames to go with its even more famous skyline. There's the Empire State Building with its dazzling spire of lights, or the Chrysler Building with its beautiful stainless steel crown, and 30 Rock, home to Saturday Night Live and the exquisite Rainbow Room. But do you know what all of these buildings have in common? Roofs. A week or two after our call with James, I was in New York City. Fascinated by the urban sprawl in front of me as always, this time I found myself looking up. Manhattan's towering skyscrapers with their imposing steel and glass facades stand like ancient trees in a dense vertical forest. I suppose they don't call New York the concrete jungle for nothing, especially given the way these engineering marvels twist and bend skyward, branching their way towards the sun. And as I admired all of this, I noticed at the very top of its canopy a surprising element of nature peeking its way through the cityscape. They were natural spaces, hints of plants and trees, stories up, offering me a way to connect with nature without leaving the confines of this urban environment. They were, as I came to know them, green roofs. Green roofs are, by their simple definition, an extension of a building's existing roof, using plants and other fauna in an otherwise under or unutilized space. Think of it like a rooftop garden or a terrace, a concept that stretches back thousands of years. In fact, the first roof gardens are reported to be in Mesopotamia, dating from the 4th millennium to 600 BC, in what is now modern-day Iraq. Perhaps the most famous of all rooftop gardens was built by Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife Amyatis, when she longed for her Iranian homeland's lush greenery. This legendary garden became known as the Hanging Garden of Babylon, and at one time was considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. So, how do we go from a world wonder to the One World Trade Center? Well, to help me answer that question, I called up my friend Amy Falder, co-founder of New York Green Roofs, a very special landscaping company in New York City. When we got on the phone, we immediately reminisced over our shared love of gardening.
We were driving into the Lincoln Tunnel this summer, and I'm like, oh my God, like even these gardens are well cared for. Like this is nuts. Chicago, it's just sumac saplings all over the place near the highways. And that's not the case there.
So it's funny that you appreciate New York so much, because I think the same thing about Chicago when I go there.
Talk to me. I want to hear this.
First of all, your seasonal plantings downtown are phenomenal. I'm always taking pictures and sending them to my enhancement coordinator, like, you need to do this. And I love the sumacs because that's native to the Illinois prairies, right? Illinois, Wisconsin, the alluvial plains, like that's what you guys got.
Yeah, it is what we
got. I love it.
Amy needs to be knowledgeable about the varieties of plants which will do well in a New York City climate, because not every green roof is designed the same way. It depends on the availability of the space, the aesthetics of the developer, and the needs of the garden. Generally, green roofs can be broken down into 2 categories: extensive and intensive.
So a lot of our projects are thin and extensive, meaning the soil profile is anywhere from like 3/4 inch to 4 inches deep. And the plant palette's made up of either alpine adapted succulents or shallow rooted meadow species, flowering perennials and grasses, which is kind of thin profile, low profile plants, or maybe a meadow, like a prairie. We're going to put it in Illinois terms. Beautiful. Yep. I love prairies. But we also are really good at creating intensive rooftops that have soil profiles up to 3 feet and can sustain trees and shrubs. It's easy to remember because it has more intense plants, right? Intense green roof versus an extensive.
Amy says one of the main reasons why someone would want to install a green roof all comes down to real estate. Green roofs in New York are in demand because Manhattan is an island, a heat island.
So an urban heat island effect happens because humans made things like buildings and roads, and those things that we made absorb and remit the sun's heat more than natural forested landscapes and water bodies.
Okay.
Black rooftops, asphalt, driving, running appliances like air conditioners actually create more heat because they make the areas around the buildings warmer, and they also limit air circulation.
One of the benefits to installing green roofs in an urban environment is cooling down the surrounding area in an increasingly warming world.
All of our green roof techs know at New York Green Roofs, when it's 90 degrees outside in the shade, a bare black rooftop can be 130 degrees, 150 degrees, or even more. Now, a light rooftop reflects more sunlight and traps less heat, but a rooftop covered in plants really cools things down so that the ambient air temperature above the rooftop is the same as it is down below on the street level, because plants and soils evaporate moisture and transpire, so they cool the area around the building.
This same principle applied to the gardens of Mesopotamia. When Nebuchadnezzar built the Hanging Garden of Babylon, it wasn't just relief for Amyas's homesickness. It was for the inhabitants to survive the arid region. The garden plants situated on the terraced roofs created a cooler microclimate in the hot desert, similar to the heat island effect in New York.
The nonprofit research organization Climate Central released a study this summer, actually, stating that the city as a whole, meaning New York City, feels about 9.5 degrees hotter than the surrounding rural areas for the average New Yorker.
That's the difference?
I was shocked.
Wow.
I mean, I feel it because I actually live in the suburbs and I ride the train into the city for work, but I didn't know it was that drastic.
Like, I live in suburbia too. And you walk by a golf course, it's always cooler. So is that kind of sort of the same effect that we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Golf courses are probably cooler because they irrigate a lot, so the ground's moist, right? So those plants are evapotranspiring and cooling the air.
Unfortunately, New York doesn't have the real estate for the equivalent of multiple golf courses. However, what they do have is a lot of rooftop space, about 1 billion square feet of it. That's like 22 Central Parks in roof space. And all that real estate is making developers see a lot more, well, green. One of Amy's clients is the Jacob Javits Convention Center in Hudson Yards. After the convention center installed a 7-acre green roof a decade ago, they reported that their facility's annual energy consumption was reduced by 26%. Another client, Public School 41 in Greenwich Village, stated they've seen a 37.5% reduction in their annual energy consumption.
A green roof acts to insulate a building in the summer, reducing heat gain throughout the building, but mostly on the top floor, therefore reducing the amount of energy it takes to cool the building.
But the green roof at the Javits Convention Center doesn't just provide a benefit to the humans inside.
So they came up with a plan because it's so large and because of the way it's divided, the green roof is divided up by pavers for access. We have bays up there. And so they designated certain bays as habitat for the birds. And we can't touch the nests in those bays. We have to leave them alone.
Okay.
But right, they're studying all the birds that are up there. And I think they've identified over 50 species that either stop through on their way somewhere else or are just running around Manhattan doing their thing.
Green roofs offer a significant advantage to city dwellers: flood prevention. If you peel back the plants and growing medium, also known as the soil, on a green roof, no matter if it's intensive or extensive, you'll soon discover a network of materials. Right below where the plants grow, there's a special layer that acts like a sieve, letting water through, but stopping soil from escaping. Next comes a drainage layer, like a sponge that soaks up extra rainwater and channels it towards the drains so it can flow off the roof. Some green roofs boast built-in water reservoirs, acting like tiny tanks that store rainwater for thirsty plants during dry spells. This intricate design not only benefits the plants, but also helps reduce strain on city sewers during heavy rains, helping keep the streets of New York, you guessed it, flood-free. All these layers work together in harmony, not just to protect the building from the elements, but to give the roof a longer, healthier life. Something I was not prepared for.
So first of all, green roofs protect the membrane from both UV degradation and cracking from expansion and contraction due to temperature fluctuations.
I did not know that. I would have assumed the other, that green roof would prematurely age a membrane, but it doesn't.
No, it protects it. So the rule of thumb is that a green roof will double the lifespan of your membrane. In other words, right off the bat, your membrane's half price. So that's a return on investment right away.
It's a thoughtful approach that means less worry about repairs and more time enjoying the benefits of a green, thriving top layer. A benefit not only to the environment, but for the building's inhabitants as well. Studies have shown that having access to natural green spaces can have a positive impact on one's mental health, including reducing stress, improving one's mood, and boosting concentration. This is why Amy is noticing more green roofs being designed for corporate office buildings.
What I'm seeing more and more and more, especially since the pandemic, is that landlords are incorporating green infrastructure amenity spaces for their tenants because they believe in the idea of biophilia for employees, and they want to attract better tenants who are going to pay more money, but who can also go outside with their laptop to do work.
This increase in green roof development isn't solely spearheaded by companies trying to attract employees back to the office. In 2019, New York City passed the Climate Mobilization Act, which rolled out a new tax abatement program allowing owners of newly installed green roofs to receive a reimbursement of $5.23 per square foot, an 80-cent increase from the previous program. In November of that same year, a law went into effect in New York called Local Law 92 and 94.
Local Law 92 and 94 mandated all new buildings and alterations of existing buildings where the entire existing roof deck or roof assembly is being replaced has to have a sustainable roofing zone covering 100% of the roof. And the sustainable roofing zone must include solar, a green roof system, or a combination of both.
When I first heard about Law 9294, I was worried about the economic impact it might have. What if you were a tenant whose apartment started to leak from the damage of a severe storm? Could your landlord delay replacing the roof because of the additional costs of building a sustainable roof? Fortunately, the laws only apply to new construction, like vertical or deck expansions, essentially replacing the entire roof. And when it comes to roofing, there are multiple protective layers, kind of like the layers of your body. There's the waterproofing membrane, which acts like your skin, the insulation, which is like your fat and muscle tissue, and then you have the roofing deck structures, which are like the bones to the building. So just because you're getting a couple of stitches, like repairing a leaky roof, it doesn't mean you would need to replace your whole limb with a sustainable Okay, not a great metaphor, but I think you get the picture. We also wondered, what if rooftop gardens became springboards for social justice, not just environmental progress? A recent study by Sina Razagiyasal, a postdoctoral research associate with Princeton University, analyzed green roof policies in major cities and found that they lacked fairness in 3 ways. Who gets the advantages? That's distributional justice. How different needs are considered? That's recognitional justice. And how residents can participate in decision-making? That's procedural justice. This means access to green roofs in many cases favor luxury buildings. They neglect diverse community needs and exclude residents from decision-making. Imagine rooftop gardens fostering a sense of place and well-being for our neighbors who might be single parents, low-income families, survivors of violence, or people with disabilities. We can bridge this gap and protect renters by making green roof social policies across this country more inclusive. While this new boom of eco-roofing is becoming a huge business, Amy cautions the unintended price of these structures.
It's positive and can be negative too. So New York is a very dense city, right? Everything's about real estate, real estate, real estate. And the economics of building an amenity space that incorporates green infrastructure or a green roof or whatever it is, especially if it's accessible, it's big business, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
You can sell apartments more readily for more money if you have an amenity for them where tenants can go outside, right?
Right.
Get some fresh air, feel the cool breeze, look at some pretty plants. So that's huge. That's a huge economic impact. That is a positive economic impact, except for when real estate prices get so inflated, which
Right.
they always are in NYC. And then there's a negative impact on certain people because they get priced out of the neighborhood.
Rent regulations regarding rent hikes after major capital improvements, like replacing an entire roof structure, vary across the United States. Similar to New York's Local Law 9294, some states or cities might have regulations limiting rent increases following significant repairs. There's no federal law mandating such regulations, so it's important to check with your local tenant rights organization or government agency to see if such protections exist in your area. As beneficial green spaces are, the opportunity to create these shared spaces should not be entirely owned by wealthy tenants in skyscrapers. We'll dig into communities on the ground level who are also improving the environment and their economy when it comes to creating accessible green spaces when we return. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Impactually. Hum Productions is a registered 501c3 media collaborative, and our team works hard to leverage our episodes with the incredible and inspiring impact of our guests. If you want to be more in the know about what's coming up with Impactually, you're invited to support us on GoFundMe and Patreon. Whether it's branded swag, being part of our producer-level credits, access to scripts, or learning what's happening behind the scenes, you can get those and more if you go to Hum Productions, that's Hum, HUMM, productions.org/donate. Thanks. Departing the Manhattan skyline, we now travel across the East River into the heart of Brooklyn, where Tonya Gayle fights her own battle against the heat island effect.
A lot of people don't realize that more low-income people die from heat than from cold, because when you're in spaces that don't have shade or tree canopy, the lowest income communities are often hardest hit by environmental issues, whether it's asthma, exhaust, health disparities due to lack of healthy food, all the things, mold, all kinds of things.
Tonya is executive director of the Green City Force, an urban farming workforce partner with the New York City Housing Authority, or NYCHA. Green City Force's goal is to create opportunities for young residents of these communities to build their knowledge and skill sets around environmental and social justice issues.
And we really train them through a workforce service learning program to improve the communities they come from while building their workforce skills. And so we're a very holistic program, we're very community-based, and we're very intentional about creating change, positive change from the people who come from the hardest hit communities.
One way Green City Force does this is by creating community gardens within NYCHA. The large sprawl of urban development is ripe for this kind of utilization, as long as you have a partner willing to share. And according to Tonya, New York Public Housing is one of the largest landlords in the area.
Again, you're talking about 2,600 buildings, city within a city. And so there's space in these communities where you might have a towering apartment and then a pavement or a parking lot or some space. So NYCHA has a lot of physical space.
Those parking lots and acres of pavement are some of the contributors to the heat island effect that Tonya is hoping the Green City Force can mitigate by turning some of that space into what she calls eco-hubs.
And we call them eco-hubs because within the farm beds and the spaces, we also are looking to design closed-loop systems.
Right now, Green City Force maintains 6 of these hubs throughout the greater New York area, totaling just over 5 3/4 acres of farming space, with the largest being 2 acres at the Bayview houses in Brooklyn. Like the green roofs on top of buildings, having accessible green space is not just beneficial to the environment, but to the emotional and mental well-being of its residents. According to an evaluation conducted by Dr. Nevin Cohn, associate professor at the City University of New York Graduate School of Public Health, the farms at NYCHA immensely improve the safety and quality of life for residents near a farming space. Enhancing these spaces to be more vibrant and well-tended not only boosts pedestrian traffic, but it also creates outdoor hubs for social gatherings. Interestingly, in half the communities with accessible farming space, there was a notable reduction in minor crimes, a decrease that was 2.5 times greater than in similar areas. It's why Tonya sees these spaces as so much more than just farming.
We're trying to use the spaces as demonstrations for not just food production, but we have composting alongside so that residents, when they come down at our weekly farm stands, we invite residents from the community who literally look out their tower window and see a farm downstairs. They come down on Saturdays, and in exchange for the harvest, we ask them to either bring food scraps or volunteer time. And so we're taking food scraps from residents, we're putting them into the composting that's on site, we're recreating soil to nourish the farms to grow the food that goes back to the residents. So we're trying to build these closed loops, and we call them eco hubs because they're hubs of eco literacy, economic opportunity, because the young people are getting trained for workforce jobs. And so that's our vision, that they're centering sustainability and design by community to better and transform those spaces.
One such success is Domingo Morales.
And he grew up in public housing, various ones all over the city. And when he first came to us, like many of our participants, he needed a job and he wanted to have some real opportunity to consider something different than a dead-end job.
However, what Domingo had in mind didn't exactly line up with what Green City Force had to offer.
Like, I don't want to do farming. Like, why would I want to do farming? He had all kinds of stereotype ideas about the negativity of farming.
Somehow, Tonya and her team convinced Domingo to try it anyways, and from that small seed of an idea, a career took root.
He had an internship as part of the program with the composters at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and he became an expert. And then he was working for the Department of Sanitation.
But like a lot of folks during the pandemic of 2020, Domingo's promising career was unfortunately cut short.
And during COVID, he got laid off. And so, like many others, and unemployed, trying to decide what to do next, he made a really bold decision. He decided to launch his own initiative called Compost Power.
After launching Compost Power, Domingo won a Genius Grant from the David Prize, a prize given to New Yorkers working in the 5 boroughs with the vision and conviction to change their communities, their culture, and their future for good.
He basically wanted to found an organization that would be frontline community-driven around compost so that his communities, NYCHA and others, could maintain sustainability despite political layoffs or cutbacks, and that the BIPOC folks who are the first to be cut in employment could be the trained experts. And so now we have this partnership with him where he is training other graduates and also hiring other graduates as staff.
As global temperatures continue to rise, so too does the need for communal, accessible green spaces. But before you consider installing a green roof yourself, Amy Falder warns there's a bit of planning involved.
First of all, if they know how much weight their structure can hold, what the waterproofing membrane is, and how old is it.
Because you know that someone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I have this lovely flat roof. I'm going to go up there and unroll a couple of pieces of sod, and it's going to be a green roof.
So I have 3 takeaways for you. Don't install a green roof on a structure that you don't understand the weight load capacity of. You have to know how much weight the roof can hold. Number 2, don't install a green roof over an old leaky membrane. You will regret it. And number 3, don't install a green roof and walk away. There is no such thing as a no-maintenance landscape.
It's why the kind of work Amy, Tonya, and Domingo are doing is so beneficial to the community. Not only is it promoting environmental sustainability, but these green roofs are an investment in a community's local economy.
The economic impact, I think, is in doing something positive for the environment, right? If you have a green roof that you're putting on a building, then you are paying someone to put it up there. Someone's earning a living doing it.
And unlike certain construction projects, a green roof is rarely a one-and-done deal.
Do you have a budget for the install? Yes. Okay, what about long-term maintenance? Because it's going to have to be taken care of. We have clients, like I said, anywhere from 250 square feet to 7 acres. And we have residential, commercial, institutional. Some clients who have thin, extensive green roofs will go 5 times a year. Check the drains, pull the weeds, especially tree seedlings. We don't want any tree roots growing into the membrane.
No.
Supplemental watering if needed. Test the soils, make sure that the green roof's getting the nutrients it needs every year, stuff like that. If there's an intensive green roof or an amenity space, sometimes our clients want us to be there twice a month.
And sometimes green roofs don't just employ people. Do you remember the green roof at the Jacob Javits Convention Center? The one with the dive-bombing herring gulls? Yeah, that one. Yeah. The convention center's rooftop doubles as a home to millions of bees and other pollinators that are vital in the production of produce. Fortunately, they don't need to travel very far to find a local farm located where else? Well, why on the convention center's roof, of course? The bees living on the Javits Convention Center green roof pollinate the center's rooftop farm, producing 40,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables for a unique rooftop farm-to-table experience for millions of meals at the center every year. This fresh access to sustainable food is similar to the experiences Tonya and the Green City Force provides to their community members.
I think one of our strongest examples of community engagement is we do these things called Harvest Festival. And it is basically what it sounds like, the winding down of the farm season. And what we do is we transform, for example, in Morrisania, Bronx, where you would not expect it, this very large scale site with tons of food, we turn it into a pumpkin patch programming space. There's a DJ, we do farm distribution, we have raffles, we do apple picking, we have potato sack races in the public housing developments. We do this every season across the sites in like some of the most densely urban neighborhoods of New York City, Brownsville, Canarsie, East Harlem. You got kids doing potato sack races on a Saturday in the middle of a housing development. That's pretty cool, I have to say.
The verdant world of green roofs and urban gardens holds the power to grow change right at our fingertips. The next time you see the New York City skyline, imagine the transformation taking place where each corner of the city breathes with new life, where rooftops and balconies burst with greenery, purifying the air, cooling our streets, and creating sanctuaries for all living beings. The good news is that this is not just a vision, it's a revolution, and it's not just happening in New York. Green roofs are sprouting up all over the place, like in Chicago, Portland, Toronto, Philadelphia, and even where you live. It's time to roll up our sleeves, dig in the earth, and plant the seeds of tomorrow, today. Until next time, keep growing, keep dreaming, and keep creating the future we all deserve. For the love of storytelling, for the sake of community, how does your story go? Impactually is created and produced in cooperation with Hum Productions. Our web address is hum, that's HUMM productions.org. Financial support for the show is provided by April Collins Potterfield, David Johnson and Christine O'Neill, Julie Ambrose, JLB Images, and listeners like you who support us on GoFundMe and Patreon. Thank you. We'd like to extend our sincerest thanks to our guests, Amy Falder and Tonya Gayle. If you would like to see how you can get involved with Tonya's Eco Hubs, please visit greencityforce.org for more information. And if you're curious for more information about the green roofing industries, such as finding local experts or jobs, please visit greenroofs.com for a wealth of information. Similarly, check out Green Roofs for Healthy Cities if you're curious about eco-policies in North America by going to greenroofs.org. And if you live in the New York City area and want to install a green roof, reach out to Amy Falder at New York Green Roofs. Her staff will ensure the project is done right. Thank you to Mike Jacobs, co-founder and principal architect of Jacobs Chang Architecture, for being a resource for this story and for connecting us with Amy and Tonya. Special thanks to the band Laura Rain and the Caesars for sharing their single We Can Do Better off their new LP, Rise Again. We have a link to their website and social media in our show notes, and their music is available on all major streaming platforms. And our team, Christine Murdoch, senior producer and editor. Jacob Matz, head writer. Director of production, Jack Bechtold. Sound engineering by Andy Shoemaker. Music curation by Elle Lively of Crooked Tree Creative. Deanna Padilla, intern from the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy at the University of Virginia. Richard Cassis of Spark Inc. for digital artwork. Andrew Sachs for our original music. And I'm Brooke Bechtold, executive producer, creator, and host. Subscribe and listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We really appreciate it as it helps others find us too. We would love to hear from you, so send us an email or find us on social media. Pitch us ideas about people who you think would be great to have on our show. Maybe it's even you. We'll be back soon with another extraordinary episode. Everyone has a story. Share.